a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how to do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 10th day of October, 2017. My, how the time flies. Well, I hope you had a happy Columbus Day. They're all upset with Trump because he only mentioned Columbus yesterday. He did not bring up the Native Americans. So, I mean, but you know, that's no surprise, right? I mean, because he's not done anything right since he took office. So, or perhaps everything he's done is right. He's just done nothing for the left. Okay. We won't split hairs. But anyway, happy Tuesday. If you had the day off yesterday, maybe you're a government employee, a postman, a banker, I don't know. But I'm glad you had some time off. We should have taken the time off because there wasn't much going on. But if we based it on that, then we'd probably take the day off too. But, you know, you got to work sometimes. So here we are. Now, are you ready for this? Walmart is planning to take on Amazon by doing the unthinkable. And I'm really interested to get your feedback on this. Now, you probably already heard they've come up with some new way to make returning items. You go online and then your return is like a 30-second deal. If you've ever stood in the return line at Walmart, oh man, talk about grueling. Oh, but anyway, this is different news. Walmart plans to take on Amazon by entering customers' homes when the customer is not home to restock groceries. Now, let's face it, there's some very fine folk working at Walmart, okay? Salt of the earth, no doubt about it. From the greeter to the guy in back who can't find your order to the guy restocking the flat panel TVs, computer displays, whatever you want to call them. Fine folk. But do you want them in your house when you're not home? I don't know. In the future, we think we will be able to keep some customers' homes in stock like we keep stores in stock today. That statement from Walmart CEO Doug McMillon. In September, Walmart announced plans to test a service that delivers groceries straight to customers' fridges when they're not home. Think about that. Someone else does the shopping for you and puts it all away. In the test, which is a partnership with the smart lock startup August Home, a person enters a customer's home to deliver orders and put groceries away. The test is currently taking place in Silicon Valley. I'm surprised they even have a Walmart there. And with a few August Home users who have opted into the service. The Silicon Valley test is just one way Walmart is trying to make itself an indispensable and convenient part of people's daily routine. The company has been making major investments in its e-commerce business as it faces off against an increasingly dominant Amazon. Yeah, they threw like $3 billion at that company. I think it was called Jet. And we've seen no return on that investment whatsoever. Today, Walmart announced that it grew e-commerce sales in the U.S. by 12% in the first half of 2017. Okay, maybe that's the $3 billion. The company estimates that sales will skyrocket by 62% in the first half of 2018. Now, that's a big jump. Executives said the company expected to grow its e-commerce sales by $11.8 billion in the 2018 fiscal year. What might seem novel today could be the standard tomorrow. This may not be for everyone and certainly not right away, but we want to offer customers the opportunity to participate in tests today and help us shape what commerce will look like in the future. Now, if in fact you have a security system installed in your home that has a camera, not only outside, but perhaps in every room, with motion detection so it swivels around, and if the Walmart employee is aware of that, then they're probably not going to misbehave in any way. They're not going to look through your drawers. They're not going to drink any of your beer. They're just going to come in and as quickly and neatly as possible put away your groceries. This is very interesting. Now, something with electronic door locks that has become somewhat common for people that use them. You can control them with your iPhone. Let's say your pest control guy calls you and says, "Do you remember we have an appointment for 2 o'clock today?" And you're like, "Oh, no, I forgot. I'm working this afternoon." And then you say, "Hold on a minute." You whip out your iPhone or Android, and you create a key for your front door, an electronic key, that will work from 2 o'clock to 2:30 or 2:45, however long it takes your pest control guy. And so as long as he shows up at the appropriate time, punches in the appropriate code that you give him, it will give him access to your house. And if he comes back later that night to steal all your stuff, the code won't work. It's only valid for that whatever time you allotted to the code. That is becoming somewhat popular. And having the security systems with cameras that you can watch from your phone or a computer anywhere in the world, those are becoming popular too. Now, based on the TV commercials, you would think that Ring is becoming very popular. That's the new fangled doorbell. You're in Tokyo in a business meeting, and some creepy guy knocks on your front door to see if anyone's home. Your phone alerts you, you look, you see creepy guy, and you press to speak and say, "Can I help you, creepy guy?" And creepy guy backs away in fear and runs away. Now, I know I mentioned this, but podcasts I listen to every week, both of the guys are quite tech savvy. And Merlin has had the Ring system for a while, and I think he said he had one instance where he got a semi-blurred vision of a pizza delivery guy, but he was unable to actually speak with him. Maybe Merlin didn't hook his up right. Maybe he got a bad unit. I don't know. But when they show it on the commercial, man, it looks pretty smooth. I could use one of those. Let's go take a look at the numbers. Oh, by the way, I've got the chart of the S&P 500 E-mini Futures up. If you cannot see the chart, go to our home page at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side, click the big microphone. Follow the instructions. You'll be registered all the way through the end of October. Now, there is another way. You can go to youtube.com/CFRN/live. You'll also see the charts. You'll also have access to a chat box. It's just a different chat box, but I can keep my eye on it. And with our global audience, if you've got something on your mind, on your chest, something you want to talk about, shout about, you got a prayer request, a praise report, whatever it is, the world is waiting to hear. When you type into the chat box, no one sees what you type except myself and Michael, and then we vet it and share it with the world. So let's go look at the numbers around the world as they are today. Start here in the U.S. These are the cash markets. Dow is currently up 25 points. NASDAQ is down 13. S&P 500 is up almost 1.5. The Russell 2000 is up 2 3/4 points. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, there's no movers and no shakers in that bunch. In our commodity basket, crude oil is up $1.33. That's over 2.5%, trading $50.91 last. Gold, 2 days back to back, up $8.20. That's over 0.5%. We'll take it, trading $12.9320 last. In the Asian markets, Nikkei closed the session up 132 points, a little over 0.5%. Shanghai closed up a little over 9 points, and the Hang Seng, another decent showing, up 164 points, a little over 0.5%. Last but not least, in Europe, quiet trading there, but more red than green. The FTSE up 30 points. DAX down 27 points at the close. and the CAC down 2 points. Now, the Nikkei, that was up over 0.5%, and the Hang Seng was up over 0.5%. So we've got solid green and some pretty good numbers coming out of Asia. Europe, mixed, leaning towards the red side, and just very quiet, tepid trade. And in the U.S., everything's green but the NASDAQ, which is down 13 points, but quiet. Very quiet trading. So if you were on holiday yesterday, you didn't miss much. One last thing, we'll go to Michael. We've been talking so much about the shooter in Vegas and all the hurricanes. We've kind of forgot about the wildfires, but still more than a dozen wildfires fanned by high winds have killed at least 10 people as they swept through Northern California's wine country on Monday, destroying more than 1,500 buildings. California firefighting officials said about 20,000 people had to flee their homes, some of them literally running for their lives as smoke filled their neighborhoods. Combined, 4 blazes in Napa and Sonoma counties alone burned 34,000 acres. It was an inferno like you've never seen before, according to Marion Williams, who escaped in a caravan with neighbors as one of the fires reached vineyards around the small Sonoma County town of Kenwood. Governor Jerry Brown says it's moving fast. The heat, the lack of humidity, and the winds are all driving a very dangerous situation and making it worse. And we're talking Northern California wine country. The gross domestic product out of there every year is quite substantial. Interesting fact, I did not know this, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank and CNBC and wherever they'll let him be Mr. Wonderful, he has his own wine label. He has a deal with Costco. When he originally got into the wine business, he was targeting like the $90 a bottle market. And then Costco quickly educated him and told him that 90% of wine sold in America sells for $5 or less. Really? I did not know that. So yes, there are $200 and $300 and $2,000 and $3,000 bottles out there, but the bulk of America, if they're drinking wine, they're drinking that $2 chuck or something along those lines. Michael, if you are ready, sir, we'll invite you in to give us the big rundown on the live training room today.
Okay, I am ready.
If you'd be so kind. Oh, you have a meeting this afternoon, correct?
I do.
Okay.
In fact. Yes. So let me take out the question box here.
Oh, I saw an email right before we came on. Came out yesterday. I think Wes needs blueprint. You already sent it?
I sent him. Yeah.
He needs the blueprint and because I can send it while you're doing your thing if it still needs to be done.
I sent him the plan. I don't know if I sent him the blueprint.
Okay, I'll just fire them both off and make sure he's got them.
Okay.
All right. I can see your charts, so let me hit mute and I'll be here when you're done.
Excellent. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the 10th day of October 2017. Today, this very special day. First, let's start out by saying if you have not taken a free trial, go to the homepage here at cfrn.net, and this banner is going to drop down at the top here. like that. And it just says CFRN.net. Sign up for the CFRN Live Training Room, 100% free trial. User indicators, learn our strategy. Click here. When you click there, it will bring you to this page right here, where we ask for your email, your first name, and how you found us. Then you hit the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. That's called double opt-in. That's so we don't spam you. Hit that submit button, and then we will send you all the information you need to get into the luxurious 5-day free trial of our training room. Okay? It's as simple as that. Now, recap. We had a yellow day today. Yellow means we did not get our goal, but we did end a little bit positive. Today's the 10th day, as I just said, of October. And today we made 14 ticks in the euro. We lost 7 ticks in crude. That put us just barely positive. And it took us 8 trading opportunities to get there. So we're having a slow start this month. We're at 457 right now on the month. And on the year, $27,137 per contract, 2 hours per day. That's over 191 days, averaging 142 per day. Okay, again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Now, I knew when we started out the day with these 3 markets at the high of the day. That's unusual. It's not unusual to start out at the high of the day, but it's unusual to have these 3 markets all at the high of the day, because crude usually doesn't run in the same direction as these 2. So I knew something was up. All right, so this was gold. The first opportunity on gold happened right in here, and we ended up getting 8 ticks from it. Some of the guys got their goal for the day right there. Some of the guys didn't stop out when I stopped out earlier on crude. So they got their goal for the day right there. And I would have been going for the goal if I hadn't stopped out on crude. But since I had, I just kind of wanted to get at least 8 ticks to get back to break even. Now, right here, it pulled back and stopped us out pretty much to the tick here, and then it ended up going up and doing what it should have done. But you see how price kept going up, but we had bearish divergence down here? I knew that was going to make a mess of things. And you see price did continue going up and pushed in a new high right here, and then it turned around during the break and gave a shorting opportunity right here. And that was it for the gold. Okay, now the euro. Yeah, the euro. We started out right here with 8 ticks on the euro. Okay, then see down here, we had the wrong kind of divergence as price was above the BBC, and it continued going up. Then it made this nice leg up right here, pulled back, and we got another 6 ticks right there, putting us at plus 14 on the euro. Changed directions and gave a shorting opportunity right there, and another one right in there. Okay, now what it should have done here is put in a lower swing, but it didn't. It looks like this is about, I don't know, 50% retracement of this move up. So it might just continue up from here. Okay, so we ended with plus 14 on the euro. On the crude oil, let's see. We started out right here. We stopped out pretty much to the tick here on the crude. Then it went up and did what it should have done. And we got 1 tick there. So we're at minus 8 there. And plus 1 there to put us at minus 7 altogether. Okay. During the break, there was a long right here that needed to put in a higher swing, but it didn't. So you wouldn't continue in that direction until you did have a higher swing. But there were no more trade opportunities there. Okay. Now, let's start out with the ES here. You can see how the ES was just stuffed in this zone here for a long time. Well, it started out the morning up here, and then it moved down, and it didn't give any trade setups on the way down, and then it just got stuffed in the zone here for the rest of the morning. This is the low of the day. This red line right here is the low of the day, and this green line up here is the high of the day. So you can see it's got about a 10-point range on the day, but it was all one move. Okay, and now it's just really snapped into a tight range. So with the ES being in such a tight range, the Russell did not give us as much opportunity. Now, looks like I did miss a couple here on the Russell. I missed this one. I missed that one, which would have been a short. I missed that one. I did get that for +8, and then I stopped out on this for -8. So I ended up break even on the Russell. We weren't doing anything with this here because I really wanted to see a higher swing. Once we got the higher swing, there was a shot right there that we missed. Then it changed directions and gave a shorting opportunity here during the break. Another one there during a break, and there during a break, and now it's starting to flatten out. Okay. So I guess it looks like the missed opportunity from today was really on the Russell. But I say all that during the break, the ES was in a zone here. So the ES would have had to have gotten out of the zone to take any of those shorting opportunities. Okay. Okay. Let's go back here. Today is 10/10/17. On the euro, made 14 ticks. On crude, we lost 7. That gives us, it took us 8 trading opportunities to get there. Okay, so we're just barely positive, and it took us 8 opportunities to get there. So on the month now, we're at 457. That's over 7 days. And on the year now, we're at 27,137. That's over 191 days, averaging 142 per day. 142 per day. Okay. That's it. Let's go here. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at cfrn.net. Can somebody type just anything into the question box so I can post the link for the meeting this afternoon? If you have not taken a free trial with us, just go here to where it says click here on the homepage, and when you click on that, thank you, Eugene and Michael. When you click on that, you'll be brought here, okay, where we just ask for your email, your first name, and how you found us. You click on the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? Okay, now at 1:15 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be hosting a meeting to show you how you could have done way more than what I was able to accomplish this morning. Okay, that is the link to get into the 1:15 meeting. All right, there are 25 seats available. We usually do not fill up. Okay, so that's it. With that, we can pass it back out to Studio A, fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking the South Mountain, America's largest city park. Bam.
If you are on the trial, or if you have recently become a partner, I encourage you, if you can, to attend the Tuesday afternoon meeting, because it gives you an opportunity to not only ask questions, but to dialogue back and forth with Michael. Because let's say you email in a question and he or I emailed you back an answer. Well, that's kind of the end of it. But usually the answer creates another question, right? So that's why it's good to be there in person if you can. And if not, well, that's very depressing.
Yes. Wow. Okay.
Okay, I got the screens almost.
Almost.
So tell me, what news was it we had this morning at the opening bell that sent the market skyward at the open, and then at 10 o'clock, from 10 to 10:30, it just went about the same distance in the opposite direction.
We only had low impact news today.
Really?
Yeah. Well, FOMC member Kashkari was speaking at 10 a.m. But I mean, even internationally, you had 4:30 was the only high impact thing from Britain, manufacturing production. You know, the rest of the stuff during the day, the U.S., we only had FOMC members speaking, and the tip economic optimism, which is a survey of 900 people, and you know, about what they think about the next 6 months projection, and stuff like that. And I came in lower than expected, but that was at 10.
Because we jumped up to a high of 25.53 and a quarter, and then in the following half hour we dropped all the way down to 25.43. So from 53 to 43, that's a 10-point drop from the high to the low. And then since the big drop, we've basically just gone sideways. Now on the ES, basically we're sitting inside of a weekly trading zone right now, which not unusual when we start the radio show many days. So I was really looking for this thing to move forward up to the zone overhead. We'll see if we can. We got to break free of this zone right here. I'll just tell you guys, it's 45.46. All right. So 45.46 should take us up to 52. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. Anything else you want to add there, Mike?
Yeah, there's an email that came in from John C. last night, and it says, to Dwayne, you should probably read it. It's interesting. I'm reading the whole thing right now.
Oh, the fellow from Knoxville?
Yeah.
I scanned that, but I haven't had a chance to give it my undivided attention.
Well, he's just going over all the special skills that his daughter has.
Okay.
And how it's got to do with it. Well, he bought Ethereum at $11 also.
Nice job, John. Congratulations. Yeah, I'll definitely email him back. And tomorrow we have FOMC meeting minutes from the last Fed meeting. Now, they say there's going to be a rate increase in December. And on the street, they are calling this the 100% trade. In fact, I'm going to Google 100% trade and just see if that comes up. Buying banks before a December rate hike works every time. Now, that's a big statement to make. Using hedge fund analytics tool Kensho, CNBC found the best sector performer 2 months before a December rate hike. Financials were up 100% of the time and posted an average return greater than 10%. Traders now give a greater than 90% chance of a rate hike I found a way supposedly to stop that background music, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
In the tab up at the top, there's a little speaker, and it says all you got to do is just click it and mute it. I think it worked, or else the ad was over. Anyway, traders are now giving a greater than 90% chance of a rate hike at the Fed's December 12th and 13th meeting, according to the CME's FedWatch tool. Buying bank stocks 2 months before a December rate hike worked every time since 1990. Wow, that's 27 years. As investors consistently bet on the sector to get a year-end profit boost from the Fed's move. This is all based on historical analysis. After the strong wage growth figure in Friday's job report, traders now give a greater than 90% chance of a rate hike at the Fed meeting in December. So, guys, I'm not telling you it's a 100% trade. Historics, you know, some people just trade historics. They get the Trader's Almanac and If it worked a certain percentage of the time, then they just roll the dice and hope that it's going to work this time. And for something to work to that degree, 27 years in a row, that's...
What did you Google for that?
I just Googled 100% trade. I will put a link in the chat box right now that takes you to the CNBC article. But again, guys, past performance, even 27 times in a row, does not necessarily mean I didn't put it in the right place. There we go. Now I got it. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't trade it. I'm just saying, be careful. Just because it worked out so many times before, I'm sort of the contrarian. I'm like, okay, the roulette tables come up red 27 times in a row. It would be really hard for me not to put some money on black, but hey, that's just me. I'm not a gambler. They're saying that this shooter they're saying he basically lived in Vegas since 2006, even though he had a home in Mesquite and maybe, I think, somewhere else. He mostly just hung out in Vegas and stayed in the nice hotels. He had the money. He could afford it. He was not a degenerate gambler. He was what they called a moderate gambler. I think they were interviewing the guy yesterday, Sheldon, what's his name, that owns a couple of the big casinos? Adelstein, is that his name, Sheldon Adelstein?
I don't know.
Okay, anyway. He said the guy, he never left owing anybody money. He was always well behaved, never caused any trouble, so very interesting. Very interesting.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll let you get ready for your really big show, and we'll shuffle along. I think John will be here momentarily. Waiting for him to jingle my phone.
Yeah, he's not there yet.
No, not yet. Make sure my phone's on. Yes, it is. Okie doke. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt announced yesterday that he would sign a rule to start withdrawing from the Clean Power Plan. This was President Barack Obama's centerpiece regulation limiting carbon pollution from power plants. Here's the president's message. The war on coal is over. The National Association of Manufacturers praised the proposed rule, which Pruitt said he would sign today, saying the Obama-era limits were too broad. Environmental groups said the change would increase pollution from power plants, the biggest greenhouse gas producers. No matter who is in the White House, the EPA is legally required to limit dangerous carbon pollution, and the Clean Power Act is an achievable, affordable way to do that. 8 days after Stephen Paddock fatally shot 58 people and wounded hundreds more in Las Vegas, investigators still don't have a motive. A frustrated Clark County Sheriff, Joseph Lombardo, said this individual purposefully hid his actions leading up to this event, and it is difficult for us to find answers. He said, adding that discovering the motive for the attack is our most important goal. What if he never told anybody? What if he never wrote it down? Then I suppose we'll never know. Lombardo also disclosed that Paddock shot Mandalay Bay security guard Jose Campos 6 minutes before he opened fire on a music festival crowd, not 3 minutes after the 10-minute fusillade as initially reported. He said it would be premature to assume that wounding campus sped up the mass shooting. Investigators do not know why Paddock stopped firing or when he shot himself. Iran, I tell you they weren't going to take this laying down. Iran has threatened a crushing response if the U.S. designates the Iranian military's elite Republican Guards as a terrorist organization. President Trump is expected next week to announce a more hawkish strategy on containing Iran. He's expected to decertify Iran's compliance with the 2015 deal, aiming to curb Iran's nuclear program and possibly to brand the Revolutionary Guards themselves as terrorists. We are hopeful that the U.S. does not make this strategic mistake. Foreign Ministry spokesman from Iraq said if they do, Iran's reaction would be firm, decisive, and crushing, and the United States should bear all its consequences. Google has uncovered evidence that Russia, or Russian operatives, bought ads on its platforms, including YouTube, Gmail, and Google Search, aiming to spread disinformation and influence last year's presidential election. The Washington Post and other news organizations reported yesterday, citing people familiar with the company's investigation, Google found that Russian agents spent tens of thousands of dollars to place the ads. The effort did not appear to be linked to the Kremlin-affiliated troll farm that bought the ads on Facebook, suggesting Moscow's efforts to interfere with the 2016 election was broader than tech companies previously believed. And as I said at the opening of the show, Trump issued a proclamation marking Columbus Day on Monday, praising the explorer Christopher Columbus for his ambitious and daring voyage across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas in 1492. Trump said the permanent arrival of Europeans to the Americas was a transformative event that undeniably and fundamentally changed the course of human history and set the stage for the development of our great nation. The proclamation broke with a precedent set by former President Barack Obama by neglecting to mention Native Americans and other indigenous people in the Americas. A growing number of jurisdictions, including Los Angeles and Austin, have recently voted to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day instead of Columbus Day, in honor of communities that were here before Columbus and suffered from violence, enslavement, and disease after the Europeans arrived. If you're wondering when will it ever stop, it won't. So I'm guessing we just have to get used to that. I don't know what else to tell you. Microsoft has finally admitted that their dream of putting Windows on a phone is officially dead. They're going to instead put their efforts into augmented reality as the future. The head of design over at Apple says that many people are misusing their iPhones. Johnny Ive, Apple's chief design officer, is clearly proud of his role in the invention of the iPhone, the device that spurred the smartphone boom, created multiple billion-dollar industries, and, honestly, changed the world. But he acknowledges that too much of a good thing can be bad. He pointed to constant use of an iPhone as one example of iPhone misuse during a public talk at the New Yorker Tech Fest on Friday in New York, after the magazine's editor pressed him on whether he felt ambivalent about inventing the iPhone. Does Ive check his emails and texts constantly the way most of us feel like we have to? Well, with my new Apple Watch, I tend not to, he said. His solution to the increasing problem of device overstimulation, get another device made by Apple, echoes how Apple CEO Tim Cook handled a similar question asked earlier this year by Fortune about the perceptions of iPhones, that's as in buffoon, iPhones as a tool of bad social behavior like distractedness in children who stare for too long into a screen. While neither executive is denying that there's a growing distraction problem created by smartphones, neither one wants to dwell on the issue. The solution to a problem created by an Apple product should not be another Apple product. One that, in my experience testing an Apple Watch over the past 3 weeks, actually contributed to my level of device distraction. We've all seen it. If you live in a city, for example, you're probably used to seeing smartphone neck, people buried in their iPhones on the subway and the sidewalk. The problem is clear to parents who sit down to dinner with their kids only to have them buried in Snapchat and Clash Royale. It's clear to iPhone users who turn like Pavlov's dog anytime they hear the iPhone notification sound, even when it comes from someone else's phone. Eventually, Apple is going to have to come up with a clear and coherent answer to questions about iPhone overuse. It's going to be asked more and more of Apple executives at every public occasion. Apple is fortunate right now that it's not facing the same level of scrutiny about regulation and fake news issues as its Silicon Valley neighbors, Google and Facebook. Apple is good at privacy and security, and it doesn't sell many ads. But perhaps smartphone addiction is the big public relations problem starting to appear on Apple's horizon. What can it do about its products being so good that its customers want to use it all the time? Well, 52% of iPhone owners agreed they could not imagine life without their smartphone. And 42% said they would feel anxious if they didn't have their phone for even one day. I got to tell you, on the way to church Sunday, we hadn't gotten very far, but we were on the way, realized I didn't have my phone. And all I had to do was say, oh man, I forgot my phone. And the car just magically turned around and headed back home. And LeBron James, we'll wrap it up with him. He will star in the first big ad for self-driving cars. LeBron James will star in an Intel commercial showing off the company's self-driving car technology, marking the first big ad push for driverless vehicles. Companies have avoided advertising driverless tech to the general public. Uber and Google spin-off Waymo have launched self-driving car trials in select cities, but have so far limited the marketing for them to YouTube videos and blog posts. So you've seen no commercials. The reluctance is likely because companies have landed themselves in hot water for past marketing attempts. Mercedes pulled an ad last year for its 2017 E-Class following criticism that it misled consumers on the car's self-driving capabilities. Tesla doesn't advertise any of its cars, but has removed self-driving branding from its websites following reports of people misusing the technology. Unlike Mercedes and Tesla, Intel isn't actually selling a product, so it has more leeway to experiment with advertisements. In the ad, an apprehensive LeBron James crawls into the back seat of an autonomous vehicle, watching the car guide itself on its own. James eventually acclimates to the car, saying he wants to keep it. It's fairly short, but it shows a realization on behalf of companies that if this technology is ever going to take off, people need to trust it. It's also the first advertisement to be shown to a general public audience for a fully driverless car. The campaign will appear before the NBA season opener on October 17th. Airing a commercial with LeBron James is a surefire way to get the word out. The software giant Intel is a latecomer to the self-driving car arms race, but has been investing seriously in the technology. Intel bought Mobileye, an autonomous driving company, for $15 billion in March. The company has agreed to spend another $250 million on developing the software for autonomous cars and has entered a partnership with Waymo and BMW. Waymo is also gearing up for its first ad campaign for self-driving cars. It will team up with safety advocates for a digital and outdoor ad campaign. It's coming, folks. Ready or not, it is on the way. So, what will it be like that first time when you climb into the car and there's no driver up front? There's an old song, Joni Mitchell, talking about a double-decker bus in England or in Paris. I think she was in Paris. And there's a line, "What, no driver on the top?" Alright, still don't see John, so let's take a look here at these Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. On the S&P 500 Emini Futures, when the email went out, we said to consider buying 25.47. We actually had some movement last night. Okay, 25.47, yes. Okay. Now, you've heard me say before, the least amount of risk typically leads to the greatest potential gain. We can see here the first trigger, we get a pretty nice drawdown. Then we trigger again. And then we trigger again. Least amount of risk, greatest profit potential. Okay. Now on this first trigger, your stop would need to be back at 25.44. That's 3 points at $50 a point. So that's doable. Okay. However, if you put it too close, although it was an affordable stop loss, that little wick right there was just enough to take you out. That's why you don't always want to be right beneath the most recent swing low. Especially when you're only, using up $150 of risk, you can give it a little more room. But we trigger again. This time, really, your stop needed to be at about 25.43. Yeah, you couldn't get away with 44 there. You definitely about 43. Now that would be 4 points or $200 of risk. And then it did this, and then it did this, and then it did this. Okay. The least amount of risk, obviously, was right there. Putting your stop at 25.46 and $100 of risk in the trade. Oh, I'm sorry, $50 of risk in the trade. Now, if you were still back here, that's okay, because that's still within the parameters. We put in a swing high at 53 1/4. So at 6.25 at $50 per point. We never get out at the swing high or the swing low. Why is that? Because we trail our stop. And if you trail your stop, you're going to always leave a little something on the table. That's just the way it goes. And our sell side on the S&P did not trigger. Here, if you want to take a screenshot of last night's email, there you go. If you're using the Go-To app, little thing up top looks like a camera. Click it, and it'll save an image to your desktop. Okay. Moving right along. Let's make our way over to the Dow. Okay, on the Dow, we were looking to buy 22,740. And we got a run, and then a pullback, and then a run, and a pullback. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. See, we've come back and we're testing it again this morning. Ran up 59 points. And this little run here so far has made it up to 761, so about 21 points so far. Sunday night Globex open. Yesterday's Columbus Day trade. And today. That covers it for the Dow. Okay, I guess we'll just start here. Gold. Gold, we're looking to buy 1294. It didn't give us a lot. Gold's up today, but for reasons too complicated to go into right now, a good portion of the move we missed. Okay, so this first little move up was 130 bucks, and the second little move up, $270 per contract. Again, we don't get out at the swing high or swing low. Why? Because we trail our stop. Now, if we, well, hang on. Yeah, I'm hesitant to even draw this, but I will. I'll throw caution to the wind. Just that little trend line there, that could bring gold back to 1281. No. 1290. Yeah. Yeah. Control C. Control V. Now we have a trend line at the exact same angle. Okay. And so if we're looking for a price channel, yeah, not really finding it. Not yet. So let's just hope it turns around and goes to the moon. Whenever there's North Korea tension, we usually see an uptick in gold, and that was certainly the case over the last couple of days. Soybeans, consider buying 971, ran up 4 3/4 points. $50 a point, pays just like the S&P 500. 4 ticks to a point, $12.50 per tick, $50 a point. Now on the sell side for beans, we're down at 964. Okay, so we're not quite there yet. It certainly looks like we're done with the upside for today. Crude oil. That's the mover and shaker today. We said to consider buying 49.98, and the last time I measured it, it was up 51.06. So from 49.98 to 50.98. What price are we at? Yeah, so basically we got $1,000 per contract available day. And the rule of thumb says anytime you make $1,000 from any one instrument in any one day, take the money, put the mouse away. Okay? That's a really nice move. Now, I don't think I had a platform crash, and I don't think I installed the indicators on this platform. Maybe I did. Well, there they are. Okay. Now, this is challenging because if you're using the indicators to trail your stop, you can, one, trail behind the BBC, which obviously you're still in the trade. When the black step line on a long trade, when the black step line crosses on the south side of the CFMA1 and you get a down close below that step line, that's a signal to exit the trade. Typically, using this will be very beneficial. Sometimes, if you're relying on that for your signal, you were prematurely exited from the trade. Now, once that happened and you saw this, you're like, did I just do that? Well, yeah, you did. Now, as long as price is still on the north side of the CFMA1, we do anticipate that it will continue higher. Keep in mind, this is a 30-minute chart. So if you're running these on a different time frame, then you're going to see something a little bit different. Okay? All right. Okay, we already looked at the Dow. We already looked at crude. The Russell. Okay. That was a Sunday night Globex open, and we had a recommendation to consider buying 1514. It moved up all of 4 points, and sell 1509, which dropped all of 6 points. But you can see how the important price, important area continued to be tested, both on the upside as well as on the downside. Today we were looking to buy 1513, and we made it all the way up to 1514. On the sell side, 1502, and we aren't there yet. In Q, Sunday night Globex open, consider buying 6072. NASDAQ pays $20 per point, so it ran up $200 per contract. Last night we said to consider buying 6068. It ran up $400 per contract. We also suggested, given the opportunity, sell 6059, and this initial drop here was good for 180 per contract, and it's since dropped further about 20 points. at $20 per point, $400 per contract. And the last on my list would be bonds. Last night we said to consider buying 152.15. We put in a high at 153.02. 19 ticks at 31.25 per tick. Bonds are a different animal, different breed of cat. Dow puts in a new record, 22,807. Walmart, it's got a new high. Intel, American Express, Chevron, Pfizer. Boy, the list grows. Bonds, because they pay $31.25 per tick. If the trade's going in your direction, then it just feels awesome. When it's not going in your favor, yeah, it doesn't take but, 3-4 ticks, 5 ticks, 6, depending upon how you're trading it, what your risk scenario is, whether or not, I guess the best way to say it is there are other markets that are less difficult to trade. How about that? Okay? All right. Okay, so there we have it. Those are all the markets around the world. I already had them marked up, so that got us through there pretty quickly. S&P just still hanging out quietly here at 2546.50. This was last week's highest zone. We took it out yesterday, took it out again today, but get a new high, doesn't stick. Get a new high, down she goes. Things that make you say, Now, our good word for the day, which I think we missed yesterday, we've had a mini-series going. This is installment number 5, and it has to do with marriage. It has to do with husbands and wives. 1 Peter 3:7. Husbands, live with your wives and treat them with respect. Remember, marriage is the cornerstone of an orderly society. You must get to know your wife and respect her needs. When God made woman, He made her to be a receiver and responder. He made her a little softer, a little warmer, a little more emotional in order to respond to you. A woman responds to a man in such a way that the very thing he wants, he will receive by giving instead of demanding. Now, you should hear that again, men. A woman responds to a man in such a way that the very thing he wants, he will receive by giving instead of demanding. When your wife feels truly loved and secure, you won't have to worry about her fulfilling her responsibility in the home. You won't have to wonder if you'll have an active, intimate, physical relationship. She'll be right there, responding to your needs. But that means you must put your wife and family first. Sometimes that means saying, sorry guys, can't go out with you tonight. Can't go fishing, can't go hunting. Taking my wife somewhere special. When you're that kind of husband, you'll get the kind of response you want without having to demand it. Now, that sounds simple in principle, but be prepared. There may be issues festering under the surface that need to be dealt with before you can move forward as a couple. If so, be humble enough to say, I am sorry I failed you. I haven't loved you the way I was supposed to, and I know it has affected our relationship. I haven't given you the time and the attention you need, but starting today, I'm going to change. With God's help. See, you can make that statement today, whether you've been married 2 weeks, 2 years, or 20 years. And I know some in this audience have been married 40. It can all change today. If it needs to change. I haven't given you the time and attention you need, but starting today, I'm going to change with God's help. Now, that means you do actually have to change. It's not just lip service. You got to follow through. With God's help, I'm going to try to love you the way you deserve to be loved. Now, sir, your wife may faint when she first hears it. But if you follow through and actually do it, then you could have the marriage you've always dreamed of. Wouldn't that be nice? I think so. Looks like John got hung up, won't be able to join us today. But we've covered everything from soup to nuts, the news, the good word for the day, market prices, concierge trade alerts. So that gives you all time to take the link, which I don't have it, but it's in the chat box. Go to the meeting with Michael. Okay, you may have been on a free trial or taken a free trial or come to an open house, and you've seen the one trade that we do over and over and over again in the live training room each and every day. We have for years. But there are other trades available to the CFRN partners using our indicators set. Some feel that those are even simpler than the one we use in the live training room each day. However, we built our rule set around the trade we use in the live training room, and so that's where we're going to dig in our heels every day for 2 hours of classroom instruction in live markets. But on Tuesdays and on Thursday nights, we do talk about the other trade setup. So if you've never been to a Tuesday webinar, go check it out. The link's in the chat box. Oh, I think John has joined us. Okay, let's click over to him. And Mike, we'll get your question there on crude oil. Hey, John, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Sorry I'm a bit late today.
Oh, that's okay.
It's been kind of a hectic day. I think we were giving some warning signals yesterday about what could happen with this market. And, you know, this morning, this was one of the biggest suck-in moves we've seen in some time, where the market opened, you know, after selling off last night and turning just at the last minute. We actually said that, you know, we thought that the market could edge higher during the night, which it did. And, you know, we actually got long the VIXs yesterday at 1840 or 1845 on the UV, and we sold it last night at 1940 right before the close. And I'm glad we did, because it came down this morning when the market opened up sharply higher, led by NVIDIA in particular. And then we rebought the VIX, the UVs, all of them actually, SOXS, TZA, the whole works, VXX, UVs, and got them back up to 1915 or so. We sold them at 1905, and they're coming down again because what we did was we basically sold everything in the first 15 minutes. I mean, across the board, just about as much as we could get our hands on, apart from a couple of stocks that were going higher. Most notably is one called ANAB, which we put a buy in at the open around 51, and we sold it at 66 a short while ago. Not bad for a day's work, 51 to 66. We covered the NASDAQ off the highs. We sold it up around 60, 70, 60, 75, somewhere like that. Maybe even 60, 80. It was close to the top. And covered it at 60, 45. And I'm selling it right now, actually. 60, 60. So, I thought we'd get a rally for about an hour. We have. But the market's pretty heavy. We've been making new 2-day lows on all of the FANGs, the Googles, and the Apple. And, there was a big spike this morning on Apple, which was, I don't think it was a bad tick, could have been. But it was an unusual, basically anybody who bought the open this morning had their heads handed to them. I mean, if you're a big fund manager and you went plowing in and bought everything, half an hour later or an hour later, you're down $2, $3, $4, $10 or $20 on some of these FANGs. So today is a real example of how dangerous this market could become here in the next few days. And I think this is the hors d'oeuvre, if you like. This is kind of a shot across the bows warning signal, and it's classic. You get these drug stocks. I've mentioned a few of them. We've had a few 100%ers, 200%ers recently. This ANAB was a 50% gainer on the open. It's about 100% gainer now, almost. These things are diversions to the dangerous stuff that's going on in the background in a number of issues. Even NVDA, this selling the top. If you bought the top of NVIDIA this morning, you've gone from 192 down to 188. That's quite a big deal. And fortunately, we went long all of these on a flip up yesterday afternoon, and we had a situation where I basically said if it goes to new lows overnight to sell it. That didn't happen. And what that did was it raised all our stops up right up to the open this morning, so that we basically got out as soon as everything started tanking. So pretty pleased about that. We also sold the gold 1296, and we sold the silver 1726, I think, or somewhere like that. Somewhere it was close to the high. They're actually getting a rebuy on the golds now, just starting to develop here around 1293, 1294. Same on the silver. I came out yesterday and said we could be looking at a $50 to $100 move up in the gold in sometime in the next few days. And we're also looking for an eruption in the oil sector, in the energy sector, and we put that out. We put a buyout yesterday near the lows of the oil.
Yeah, Mike B just had a question what our thoughts on oil was. So
very, very bullish right now. Very bullish. Now, we might get a bit of a pullback this afternoon with the API coming out. There's a possibility, but I'm basically in a kind of a buy dips mode on the energy right now because I think this Iranian thing is a game changer for the oil, like we were talking about yesterday on the show. And look at it. You're seeing evidence of that today. I mean, we're up $2 since yesterday, basically. So it's a pretty big deal, and just the market feels very strong today. So it feels to me like, I think the Iranian thing might backfire in a way that could be.
Well, we've got two different issues. One, the certification of the nuclear deal, and the other is calling the Royal Guard terrorist, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and look, it just it's very interesting because we just had a uh, we just had a interview this morning with Forbes magazine. I just caught a bit of it before coming on the show, and I'm glad I did because I can talk a little bit about it. This is where Trump raised the issue about the IQ business with Tillerson. And I think that's a good thing because he's, most people, 99 people out of 100 in the street don't even know what his IQ is. And it's about time they found out that the president's got virtually the highest IQ of any president in history. He's either number one or number two.
Now, didn't they say that? Didn't they say that about Barack as well?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Well, I mean, based to me, he didn't seem like a really smart guy. But I'm just
he's only in the 160s or 50s. I think he's not that bright. Anyway, but Trump is very bright, and he's way ahead of most other people. And
well, common sense and intelligence are two completely different things.
Well, he's got both.
Yeah, right. Then that's what you need to lead a country.
Yeah, and but it's I believe this Forbes interview is very good because the guy has known him for a long time. Has been interviewing him for 30 years, and what people out there don't realize is, even overseas, is Trump is out to win. He's a winner. He wins on everything, and he wins. It's not just necessarily a win-win situation. Since he's got into politics, maybe he has to think more as a win-win in negotiations. But his past negotiations have all been about win at any price. As long as the other guy comes off worse, it's a win for him. And he also tends to hit back 10 times harder if anybody goes, attacks him. And I think that's a very good thing for the country because it's about time we had a military that hits back 10 times harder when we get hit. That's what should have happened after 9/11. It's what should have happened in 1976 when all this terrorism stuff started. It's what should have happened in 1982 when the Iranians killed 256 Marines in the barracks in Lebanon. And that's the problem with the response throughout, and the lack of opportunity in taking out terrorist leaders, when they first become known about. You can't play games. I mean, why, with the benefit of hindsight, there isn't anybody on this planet who wouldn't have taken the decision to take out Osama if they'd been able to see the future. Do you think so?
Oh,
exactly. So they should have done it anyway. That's the point. And you have to, because the next time, after what happened in Vegas, which is a kind of a mini 9/11, if you think about it, as a one-man band 9/11 with a pretty costly, pretty big cost. What happens? I don't even say it because I don't want to jinx anything, but what's next when you got one guy carrying a suitcase that's got something bad in it, or something worse. And with all this technology flying around,
it's I've heard them talk about it, but I don't know if any of the hotels have put it in place yet. But I think checking into a big hotel is going to become a lot like flying on an airplane,
or going into a building or anything. Yeah, and it has to be. That's just the way the world's going to be from now on.
Yeah.
So it feels to me, especially based on the way the markets are going. I mean, we got two gigantic double tops developing on Google and Facebook. If you look at Netflix, which just topped out here last couple of days, yesterday, in fact, I think.
The last time they messed with their prices, the stock almost got cut in half because they kind of bumbled it. This time it was very well received, and the stock actually went up on the news.
Well, that's because the price increased too. But I just looked at a few. I don't know which one it was this morning. Maybe it was Facebook. No, maybe it was Amazon. One of these things got a really, really bearish looking structure to it. Look, it's got a sort of a heavy week ahead. We got Friday the 13th to get through. Trouble started. We got trouble started in 1987. This was actually the high point day in 2007 yesterday. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, it felt to me yesterday afternoon like the polar opposite of March the 6th, 2009. And, that was the bottom. But on the Monday following, we did go a bit lower in a few things and then turned around, which is a little bit like today. If you sort of take to yesterday as a kind of a pivotal day, a warning day, if you like. In other words, the market was very kind of quiet all through. There was a lot of tension on the tape. And then towards the end of the day, we had the sell-off, right? That was like, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on March the 6th, 2009, we were still 100% short. By 3:20, we covered our shorts and went long. And by 3:40, we got to maximum position. We were at maximum position short by 3 o'clock. Within 40 minutes, we were at maximum position long. That's how sure we were the bottom was in place. And it was sort of the same yesterday, except at the last minute, I changed my mind and thought the market was going to have one more surge because we had a late pop going into the close. And having seen this movie a few times before in this bull market, I figured we were going to have one more shot of the highs. And then this morning, we came in with the big drama kind of high. And so far, it's been pretty, to me, it's pretty scary. I think this is a pretty dangerous situation here. You've got, big spikes in all these indices this morning. You got it on your chart there, I saw earlier on. Anyway, speaking of spikes, did you see this? Was there a Bitcoin spike during the night, or was that a bad tick?
Let me get a chart and have a look. Let me get rid of that, and then let me go over here. Bitcoin chart. I haven't settled in on a good platform that I want to use yet for that. So we'll try this one. Although I have an account with Coinbase, I should probably use theirs, but let's just take a look and see what this says. If the chart will load, it says it's connecting. Connecting. Russia has said they're going to block internet access to all Bitcoin exchanges. And on the other side of the world, Goldman Sachs says they are seriously thinking about opening a trading desk. If they do, that becomes an incredible game changer.
Is that the Bitcoin chart you got there now?
Yeah,
Glenn?
it is. I'm going to put it on 1 day. Now, where were you thinking?
I think the Bitcoin I was looking at is false because it had a spike down to 4,200. I don't think that happened. So here we are. Yeah. What are we at now? 4,900.
Yeah, we're knocking. Yeah,
no, I said I think I probably didn't say it too vociferously on this show, but I said it elsewhere. That when we were down at about the 4,200, I said we're definitely going to go back up and test the 5,000. And we're pretty much almost there, and I think we're going to take out 5,000 actually.
Since 9 o'clock this morning, we're up $200. We're having a little pullback right here.
Yeah.
And here's the yearly chart, guys. Let that load up, and just in case you haven't ever taken a look at it.
A couple of interesting
to 4,500 plus.
Well, what's amazing is that dipped down to 3,000, and then
this one
going all the way back up is that's a pretty big deal, Geez,
yeah, this came on the back of of China, and I think possibly even Jamie Dimon's comments, which I don't know if you heard me when I was reading the news yesterday, but Dimon's out bad-mouthing Bitcoin, and I informed everyone that while he was making that statement, some of his traders who he said he would fire for being stupid if they ever traded it, they were actually buying the dip. Now, news came out yesterday that they've actually created their own currency called Quorum.
Mm-hmm. That's a good name.
I like it, but I mean, does this guy not think? I mean, what does he think people are going to think? You know what I mean? He's saying one thing, and his company that he rules with an iron fist is doing the exact opposite.
Yeah, I think Bitcoin, as a kind of a transactional currency, is kind of its own worst enemy in a way, because while it's a great idea and a great concept, and it obviously it works because it's getting bigger and bigger, the volatility is a problem. Because if it's too volatile, I mean, people, as a transactional currency, you could be buying something in the morning and you could be losing in the afternoon, kind of thing. It's especially if you're just, if you're in business on very tight margins, you could go out of business trading in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So.
Now,
because really you have to, you can't, I mean, how can you be in a currency that's 5,000 1 minute and is down to 3,000, literally a week later or a few days later. And if you're stuck in Bitcoin, you don't have any way to hedge it, right?
Right.
So, in order to sort of save, it's almost, maybe you use Bitcoin for transactions and then you have to switch out into something more stable, maybe like the US dollar or gold. In
the last 24 hours, the dollar volume, $535,165,445 US dollars in the last 24 hours. Market cap of 81.47 billion US dollars. Incredible.
What is it? What is that again?
The market cap for Bitcoin is $81 billion. 81 billion.
That's a lot. That's where gold was.
That's a lot of pocket change. Yep.
Around about 1999 or 2000 was around there.
That's a whole lot of pocket change. And is it a storehouse of value? Is it a transaction mechanism? Is it both? I think what we're going to find, as like when the dot-com bomb imploded, the strong survived, and out of the carnage, out of the rubble heap, rose the companies that today are the likes of which the world has never seen: Amazon, Apple, Google, companies that had real business models, that had profitability. It's amazing. I remember when Yahoo stock traded at $400 a share. $400. That was before Mark Cuban cleaned their clock for $3 billion for something that didn't work. But, oh well. Good for him, I guess. He is behind, let's see, which coin did he get behind? Cuban's Bitcoin. Mark Cuban backs new $20 million cryptocurrency fund. Let's see if he names it. Billionaire Mark Cuban is backing a new venture capital fund for cryptocurrency-related investments called Iconformation that plans to raise $20 million. It's an interesting space I want to get involved with and learn more about. Cuban said the investment marks Cuban's gradual shift from saying Bitcoin is likely in a bubble to saying he might just have to buy it. One-time skeptic is warming up to the digital currency world. Cuban's opinion on digital currencies changed fairly recently. In an August 14th tweet, the Dallas Mavericks owner admitted he might have to finally buy some, contrasting with a June tweet that said he thought it was a bubble. Bias should be up because of finite supply. Until crypto or U.S. politics intrude. Well, here's the thing. There's no Bitcoin building. There's no Bitcoin server. There is no centralized place where anyone or any power can shut it down. I mean, yeah, Russia might be able to block internet access to the exchanges, but it doesn't change anything. It exists because it exists, and no one person controls it, runs it, owns it, can turn it on or turn it off. It simply is. And slowly but surely, people will come to understand what that means. Most of these ICOs, and you read what I wrote about it, you go to read their white paper, and oh, it's so technical, and they've got the flowcharts and the diagrams and the infographics and the blah, 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 words you don't understand. You finish the white paper, and you still have no idea what the real purpose of this particular cryptocurrency is. Which is why I called ours an honest white paper. I said, hey, guys, I've read 100 of these things, and I've never once come away understanding more about the purpose of their token, their currency, their coin, whatever you want to call it. I said, so I'm going to endeavor here in very plain English to just tell you what our purpose is, what our reason is, and whether we're right or wrong, this time history will not pen our destiny without our participation. So, you know, right or wrong, we're going to be in it. So, you know, that's my thought. So hopefully I can get that website finished up today, tomorrow, and get it live.
Mm-hmm.
And you just mentioning Friday the 13th. Yeah, maybe not. That was the day I was looking to launch pre-sale. Maybe I'll push that back to next Monday.
Yeah, you don't want to jinx your.
So, Mike, the comments John gave earlier on Crude, and I, just for the sake of trying to help out, I put this week's zones on Crude up, the ones that are important right now. The next one we have overhead is 5120/25. We've already ran up $1,000 per contract on today's alert, which was to consider buying 49.98 last night. And so we could certainly inch our way up to this next zone overhead, 5120/25. And after that, we only have one more zone overhead, 5230/5235. Could we get there? That's like $2. We could. I mean, today's only Tuesday, and we've got the Fed meeting minutes coming out tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. And so I don't know what that will do to the market. You know, John, we talked about this earlier. There's this trade that they're calling the 100% trade. Have you heard them talk about that? John? Did I lose you? John, did I lose you? I guess I lost him. Well, for anybody that missed it at the beginning, I'll run over it one more time. If I can turn this ad off. Yep, there we go. Okay. Now, this is not a recommendation to take this trade. I'm just reading the news. Buying bank stocks 2 months before a December rate hike has worked every time since 1990. That's 27 consecutive years. As investors consistently bet on the sector to get a year-end profit boost from the Fed's move, again, based on nothing but historical analysis, historical observance, as we call it. The strong wage growth figure in Friday's jobs report, traders now give a greater than 90% chance of a rate hike at the Federal Reserve's December 12th and 13th meeting. Using hedge fund analytics tool Kensho, CNBC found the best sector performers 2 months before a December rate hike, which are actually pretty rare, occurring just 4 times since 1990. John, did we really lose you? Yeah. Financials were up every time and posted an average return greater than 10%. The year-end placement of the hike appears to be a factor, as the sector is up only 62% of the time, 2 months before all Fed rate hikes. Materials and industrials also do well into these year-end hikes, as investors likely believe that by raising rates in December, the central bank is signaling confidence in a strong economy for the year ahead. To be sure, past performance does not always equal future results. Plus, bank stocks have been on a tear lately, so it's possible this move is getting priced in early. The group will also get a test this week, with JP Morgan kicking off third quarter earnings on Thursday. The Fed has a 2-day meeting starting October 31st, but traders do not expect a move at that meeting. John, are you there? I hate to sign off with you lost in the ether there. Ether. That's what Ethereum currency is called, Ether. And our currency is built on the Ethereum blockchain, as I explained yesterday. Slightly different from the blockchain, from the Bitcoin blockchain. Google it up, and or as soon as I release the website, there will be information there that you can decipher. I've tried to make everything is just as clear and plain English. I wanted to create something that I could go and read and go, oh, okay. There's no smoke being blown up my chimney. It's just a statement of facts. This is what it is. Period. No smoke and mirrors. So I hope to have that to you guys by Friday. Okay, John, giving one last call for you, because I hate to sign off with you not there, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. Crude, keep in mind, zone right overhead, 2025. We kept bumping our head up against this zone, consolidated. This is all consolidation. Here we moved through it. We pulled. Oh, that's. I'm sorry. No, the next zone we sliced through. That's what I wanted to point out. This is what I'm talking about when I say we sliced through a zone. Then we have a tendency to pull back to the zone. John, is that you? John, is that you?
Yeah. Can you? Sorry, back again. Sorry about that.
Okay. So,
can you hear me now?
Yeah. So we go up, we come back, and then we continue. All right. Yeah. What I was asking you, have you? They're calling it the 100% trade. I've covered it twice now on the show, but just so that you know, buying bank stocks 2 months before a December rate hike has worked every time since 1990. That's 27 years, as investors consistently bet on the sector to get a year-end profit boost from the Fed's move, according to historical analysis. After the strong wage growth In Friday's job report, traders now give a greater than 90% chance of a rate hike at the Fed meeting in December. And so this trade has worked 100% of the time for 27 consecutive years before a rate hike in December.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that.
That's, it's like red coming up 27 times on the roulette table. I'd have a hard time not putting money on black because I'm just
you got look,
kind of
JP Morgan. Anytime these big stocks get up near $100, it's like a magnet, and it just doesn't stop at 100. It goes through by usually $10, $20, $30. So you've got about a 30 or 40% up move coming on JP Morgan and a lot of these other bank stocks. So American Express is another that's getting close to 100, and it's just that time. And it's what I've unfortunately that I'll have to resend that chart to you. But when you look at that chart, I mean, we're only in the. This is what people look. I'm trying to tell people what's going on in the real moment right now. Some guy's telling me. This guy just called me a minute ago. He's sort of saying, "What's the worry about, staying long?" And I says, "Well, maybe the next week or two it might not be a good idea because we're in a time where it's quite possible we could have a serious correction, and it'd be a tough thing to go through if you're long. So, today I would say this is the closest thing this is the closest shot across the bows we've seen on these markets in quite a while. Why am I saying that? Because the leaders of the market, Google and Amazon just couldn't get back over 1,000 today, and it's now turned down, and it's got a kind of a double top. I mean, actually, a lot of these markets are behaving a little bit like 2000. In other words, what happened in 2000 is you had stocks like Yahoo and like Commerce One, for example, which went to $1,000, and they made a big spike high, and then sort of, in fact, kind of an interesting. Amazon's a kind of interesting proxy. Okay, we got to 1083, we went down to 940, we rallied up to 1,000, we went down to 930, rallied back to 1,000, and now we're at 990. This is a very bearish setup. If we break down from here, and start taking out the 900s, this is what happened in 2000 to a lot of stocks. This sort of pattern, they made a big spike. Priceline is another one, and Google is making a triple top right here. Now Google looks a little bit more bullish because it's only $10 off its all-time high, so it could blast through the all-time highs in a nanosecond, but and so could Facebook, even though it's made a double top. But right now, it's got a developing, it's got a good enough top developing on it enough to knock it down $10 or $20 from here. And Nvidia, which has been a screamer, gapped up today, and it's on a kind of a double top as well. So you have to be pretty careful. About how you navigate from here, because just when this thing about the calm before the storm, you don't know if they've got some kind of an undercover deal going on in North Korea to take this guy out right now. What if it backfires and goes wrong? That could hurt the market. I'm sure they've got some sort of thing going on against North Korea. Behind the scenes, right? Almost for sure. And, or maybe they've got something going on with China, where they're all working to get rid of this guy. So, which ultimately could be a huge positive. But at the moment, it's like when Trump comes out and says the calm before the storm, it's something to keep. It's something to keep in the back of your mind. I mean, look, we're 6 points off the lows of the day in the Nasdaq right now, and we're only a few dollars off the lows of the day in most of the FANGs. That is not a good place to be, in my opinion. because not only that, look, the breadth is still quite good, but it's just making new lows right now on the day as well. So you've got this, it started yesterday, you had this sort of deteriorating thing going on, very, very quiet deterioration all through the day. And we started off with a bang this morning, and it reversed. And now it's starting to do the same thing that happened yesterday, with exceptions. Obviously the bank stocks are performing very well today, but they're masking the bad stuff that's going on elsewhere. This is why tops are so hard to pick, because things happen. Like the transports are up today, right? They were down the last few days, but the transports are probably the best, ray of hope for the market today. The transports and the financials being up today are a good thing. There's no doubt about it. They're saving the market from being 100 points lower, but the damage is going on in other sectors. The semiconductors a little bit, and the Nasdaq. So you've got to be and look. I think this is just a shakeout. It's a shakeout like yesterday, and it's a bigger shakeout today. Coming from a higher level. So we just have to see which way whichever way we go later on this afternoon. If we go back up today, I'd go bullish again. I have to, but this is what makes this market very hard to trade. Is you've got to, you have to go in there and buy. I mean, we got lucky this morning. We bought LABU at 86.50. It's almost at 88 now, and it was acting really, really badly earlier on. It was kind of confusing because a lot of the drug stocks were actually not doing too badly. They were actually quite strong, and yet this LABU was down. I couldn't figure it out, but so we took a shot at it at 86.50, and and this is just a rally here. This is it's way off the highs from 94 a couple of days ago, but nevertheless, it's starting to head back up again. But the market feels a bit different to me today. It feels like there's more selling going on in these high-priced issues, and that's what you got to be careful of. Because look, honestly, could we have a flash crash this afternoon? Absolutely we could. I wouldn't have said that so much yesterday or the day before, but I'm saying the prospect of a flash crash happening today is gone up a lot in percentage terms than any day we've had since the last big correction. So that's because look, if we suddenly lost 50 points on the Nasdaq in the next hour and it started accelerating down, I would say the odds of having a wipeout are increasing, either by the hour or the day.
Well,
and it's kind of the problem with the Nasdaq. I watch the Nasdaq all the time, but it's kind of like the key. It's like the master key to the market. But the problem with the Nasdaq is you get a distorted perspective of and a lot of times the Nasdaq begins just like this morning. The Nasdaq was the first to go, and then it dragged the other indices down. Okay, the Nasdaq's rallied, but it's already coming off, and yet the other indices are still kind of hanging in. They're holding up. Now the UVs, the negatives, have come back almost to the lows, but they're just starting to pick up again now as maybe the S&P is dropping off a little bit. So, if the UVs go any lower, that's a pretty good sign we're going to rally into the afternoon, and that's kind of what's happening right now. So, if the Dow gets, we've only got till what today is Tuesday. We've only got till tomorrow. The Dow has to get to 23,000 by tomorrow to break this record of 1,000, fastest 1,000 points ever on the upside. I definitely wouldn't rule it out. Still, we've only got 100 and, at one point we had 150 points to go this morning, but it's about 180 right now. So, but it could still happen. You know, if something good happens overnight, tonight, this Dow could be up 200 easily tomorrow, easily, and it almost might be up with more vigor than one would think, because coming from a little bit of a correction, it's kind of refreshed the market. You know.
200. Really?
Well, we haven't had a 200 up day in a while.
Yeah.
And you know, Trump's making peace. He's having a peaceful luncheon today with Tillerson and a couple of other things. But but look now here, as we speak, the Nasdaq's coming off. So it's you know, I to me it feels, you know, just hovering over Wall Street, you know, like the eye in the sky. I think there's a lot of worried fund managers out there today who are kind of got this thing that they're about to hit the panic button. And I'm talking about the old timers more than the young you know, the young bloods.
Yeah. Mike B commented that the nugget's down 80 cents. You wanted me to mention that to you.
Yeah, it's well, he was right this morning, because he sort of said earlier on that it wasn't conforming, and all of the golds. Actually, we put believe it or not, we put a buy stop on the dust at 50, on the J dust, sorry. And we put a buy on the dust at about 23.20. So they're starting to go up now quite a bit. And we're out of the nugget. We're out of all the golds right now, from almost the highs this morning. So.
I was just Googling around. I didn't know this was out there, but apparently it is, even though we haven't begun the pre-sale. The CT Global coin, it's already got a chart, got the contract information, all that stuff. Interesting. I'll have to.
When you say out there, how do you mean out there?
Well, are you looking at my screen?
Yeah.
This 8 token CT Global coin.
But is that you who put that out, or somebody else?
It was picked up by ETH Plural.
I was going to say, who are they?
They're just somebody that compiles all the different cryptocurrencies out there and attempts to chart them and report on them and etc.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, well, it was pretty cool. And when I Googled it, I got that little video with the coin spinning, which is pretty cool. And then this next one, I have no idea what this one is about. Oh, this looks like something.
That's like the equivalent of gold. That's like a precursor to going viral, something like that.
Yeah, this is an odd page here. They appeared to have Malware Bytes just warned me that's a bad site. So somebody was attempting to list us, and Malware says it's a bad site. So don't go there, folks. It's called Bucks Lister. Don't go there. All right, John, I'll let you go. We're going to wrap it up.
Okay, thanks.
All right, have a great afternoon.
You
We'll
too.
talk
Bye.
to you tomorrow. Okay, guys, this is going to do it for the Tuesday edition, post-Columbus Day, October the 10th, 2017. I hope everyone that needed to be there got to the meeting with Michael. If you missed it, send an email to support@cfrn.net. We'll make sure that you have a chance to view it. We do record those for your convenience. in case you can't miss it. You can't make it. If you're on the trial, make sure you get the indicators downloaded and installed while you're on the trial. Purpose of the trial is not only to let you see who we are, what we do, how we operate, but it's an opportunity for you to learn the basic strategy and to put the indicators through their paces, whether you use Ninja or whether you use DT Pro or any of the brokers that clear through Gain Capital have a platform that will support our indicators. To go through 5 days and not have actually done some simulated training using the indicators is to sell yourself short. It's to leave you at the end of 5 days with a big question mark hanging over your head. And most people call me after their 5-day trial and they go, man, I sure wish I had downloaded the indicators. Oh, like I told you? Oh, like it was in all the emails I sent. But, you know, what are you going to do? So I'm just saying, if you're on the trial, by all means, do get, if you don't have Ninja Trader, just call 866-928-3310, 866-928-3310. Bert or Leslie will be happy to walk you through the steps to make sure that you get everything downloaded and up and running properly, okay? And anytime you have a question about the platform, the software, they're available from before the market opens until after it closes, each and every day, Monday through Friday, and they're always more than happy to help you in any way that they can. All right? So one more time, that's 866-928-3310. And if you are on the trial and you want information on becoming a partner, Michael typically sends an email out midweek, but if you want to get going, send an email to support@cfrn.net. Hey, what does it take to become a partner? Or I got your email and I'm ready to become a partner. Or call 949-423-6464, which also happens to spell 949-42-EMINI. That's right. 949-42-EMINI. Okay? All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.